Greetings, everyone. Today is October the 1st. Let's see, October the 1st, 2021. And today we are going to take a walk into the Stewart Road ravine. But when Viv and I went together this day, we were going to go somewhere else. But when we got out there, we found that we were planning on parking in a certain parking lot up on a ridge, and when we got there was two vehicles already there. Now, this time of year you have to watch because it could be a little dangerous being in the woods. Hunting season has started here for deer with bows, so you got to watch being in there. It could be a little dangerous, and besides, we don't want to bother anybody that's hunting. So we found a couple vehicles in the parking lot, and right away another place came to mind, which is the one we're going to go to today out at the Stewart Road. So we just passed the parking lot, went down another old country road from an intersection up on a ridge, past Noak's old place, back down to the Gerard's Fort Road. And you've probably heard me speak of Gerard's Fort several times. Well, we drove through it today and out the other side to get into another area of Greene County here. So in doing that, I had no choice giving you a ride through the Pennsylvania countryside here from Gerard's Fort over to a place near a little village that's called Ceylon or Ceylon, Ceylon, however you would like to pronounce it. But right now, the road we're on is heading down to intersect the Gerard's Fort Road in an area called Fordyce. So I hope you enjoy the ride. I got to tell you that the camera taking a photo, or I mean a video of a ride like this really surprised me that in reality we're not going nearly as fast as what it looks like on the GoPro. So right over this little rise now, and down at the bottom there, see the road and the traffic on it. We're going to turn left on that and go just about 3 miles to Gerard's Fort. So bear with me for just a minute and we'll get right out there. It's a beautiful day this day in Pennsylvania. America has such beautiful places to visit, to travel. Not just Pennsylvania. West Virginia, Ohio, all the states have a certain virtue and glory about them. Well, see that place off to the right there is a yard that one of these companies decided to rent off of a farmer here to put their equipment and machines, because we're sitting right on top of a big Marcellus shale deposit, and places that were really kind of remote. Yeah, it took a while walking back into them. Now it seems like that is the places where they all went to dig these pipelines and to drill the wells and things, and they're just pulling oil and gas up out of Pennsylvania, and that's where it was first discovered in this country. It was Titusville up north of Pittsburgh, and the biggest coal mine in the world was right here in Greene County. Had 2,300 miles of track underground. Had about 8 or 10 shafts that Men went down each one of them, elevator down to about somewhere around 800 feet under the ground, and a whole lot of coal was brought out of this area. You hear a lot about West Virginia, and they have a lot too, but um, West Virginia is almost heaven. It's right below us. It borders us. It's almost in Pennsylvania. So what's that tell you? I guess I'm a little prejudiced on. I really enjoy Pennsylvania woods. So we're heading down toward Gerard's Fort. Got about a mile and a half to go yet. On that ridge up to the left, years ago, I used to do a lot of fox hunting up on that ridge, and well, I don't trap anymore, but I used to trap muskrat, mink, coon, possum, skunk, and whatever. We used to take pelts in to the fur dealer. Every year we take our ginseng in with the pelts and gather up enough money to go Christmas shopping when we was about 10 or 12 years old. Me and my brother, Norman, my younger brother, about 5 years younger than me. We used to run these ridges through January and December, starting in October, and run them all winter long. Had a lot of experiences there. I'll never forget the rest of my life. I'm glad we did that. Things ain't the same now. People don't trap much anymore. And not many more fur takers like there used to be. It's part of what this country was founded on. And the eastern mountain men started before the western, but the western buttoned up against modern times, and so with the printing press and everything, you hear a lot about them. Uh, Jim Bridger and Davy Crockett and all that, but there was, if you wanted to look into a real live, adventuresome man's history, look into Lewis Wetzel. He's from this part of West Virginia, and also in Pennsylvania, and right in this area here. His family was massacred by the Indians, or we call them Indians, but that implies they're from India. But you know what it is? It's Native Americans, and this part right here, when they decided to survey the southern border of Pennsylvania, they got to Greene County right here, and they're separated from Fayette County by the Monongahela River. And the Indians that they employed from eastern PA, they refused to go across the river. They said there's bad sign over there. There's a hostile. They was afraid to come across the river into Greene County, so they didn't. And the southern border remained unsurveyed for a couple years until they finally got somebody brave enough to cross the river into Greene County. And over here, that just started where it was bad. And Lewis Wetzel lost his family, and he kind of went a little crazy. And he spent the rest of his life hunting down the Indians and living like a wild man in the woods around here. And more than this area right here, he centered himself into a county that's called Wetzel County to this day, over in the panhandle of West Virginia, borders up against this Pennsylvania county, Greene County. Anyway, we're coming up now on the left-hand side. You can see the Pennsylvania Game Commission rifle range. And you really didn't get a chance to see the good part. The big part came up first there, was further back to the left is where you sighted in your rifles. And the last part there on the right was a pistol range. And this is, I think, 7,223 acres of Pennsylvania game lands. And they put signs up all over the place. Instead of saying no trespassing, posted no hunting, the Pennsylvania Game Commission, who started the idea of the Game Commission. And here's some of their buildings on the left-hand side. And this is where the Pennsylvania State Game Protectors and the state police practice shooting their pistols, and they keep their equipment in here. Anyway, there's 7,223 acres around this area here. And a few other states kind of picked up on this and started doing it too. So I guess they started something and it caught on. We're coming up on Girard's Fort, and we're going to go through this little village and out the other side and turn left to take us over to Ceylon. So on the left-hand side up here is a business out in the country. They make wood pellets called Green Team wood pellets, and two of my son-in-laws work there. It's a really good outfit to work for, I'll tell you. But this town used to have a couple little stores in it, but not any longer. And on the far, look up the straight stretch here, on the very far end of it is a little white building. Now that sign's talking about the pellet factory, Green Team, telling trucks not to go that way, because they go up that road, they're going to have a hard time. They're not going to make it, have to back out. But this road here to the left, that's where the Green Team pellets is. You see a white sign there on the left. That's telling truck, come up here. Now way up on the end there of this little stretch, you see that little square white building, the smallest one you can see? That is an official Pennsylvania, no, not Pennsylvania, United States Post Office. That's it. That's George Fort Post Office on the left right there. Okay, so up on the right is Warrior's Trail, up on that wooded ridge, and used to do a lot of ginseng hunting up there. Let my daughters out of the car one time when we were going for a ride through the country, and they walked ahead of us out around the curve. There's one of those country roads where the trees come over top, like made like a tunnel. And as soon as they went around that curve, they come back running again. And here, what had happened is up ahead of them, there was a pack of 4 or 5 coyotes just happened to come up out of the woods and run straight across in front of them and down the other side. And they come running, screaming back to the car. So there's a Davistown sign. And that's how you can get to it, out that road to the right there. Okay, so there, that sign on the left-hand side is commemorating the Corbley massacre, where there was another family was massacred by the Native Americans in this area here. We're looking for a 4-way intersection out here, where if you go straight ahead, you go to Headley Heights in Mapletown. If you turn right, you go to Bobtown. You turn left, you're going to go to Ceylon. So that's where we're heading right now. And we'll get out there, go out to where old Goldie Stewart used to live. The house is not there any longer, but they still call it Stewart's Road. And we're going to go up Stewart's Road to a ravine on the right-hand side. And I was up there a couple years ago, and you get a feeling in there. I don't know, it's just a presence like in this place, and I like to come back to it once in a while. Well, it's been a couple years. But last time I was up in there on the right-hand side, walking up this wooded ravine, I came across the skeleton of a deer, bones. And, a deer might be 5 feet long or 4 feet long or so. And this skeleton, and that's all there was. There was no flesh or hair or anything, just a white bone skeleton. Instead of it being, say, about 5 feet long, it was stretched out to about maybe 12 or 15 feet long. All the bones were laid there in the right order, but they had a space between them so far that it was like 3 times as big as what a real deer was. and they were laid on an arc, like semicircle, not semicircle, just probably well, about a fourth of a circle, with the end bones uh, had a couple of the bigger bones laid on the end of it in the form of an arrow. It was like pointing toward something. And I looked out from the end of it, and about 2 feet out into the woods further, there was a stump. And here on top of that stump, there was a white croc. And it was in real good shape. But it was kind of heavy, and I was up in there fooling around. I wasn't going to pick that thing up and carry it around with me for any reason. So I put it back down. Well, here it is, a few years later. And Viv and I are up in there. And this was just about 3 or 4 days ago. And Vivian sat down on the left-hand side of the ravine, and I went up further on the right-hand side to see if these bones were still there, and they were all gone. At first, I started looking at the wrong stump, and then I realized, well, they must be gone. There's a lot of windstorms and rain and snow over a couple years, and I don't know what happened to the bones. But I walked up about 40 feet and realized, wait a minute, I had been looking at the wrong stump. So here was this other stump, and when I went up to check about the bones, the deer skull was thrown down over the bank about, I'd say 30 feet from where it originally was when I saw it. All the rest of the bones were gone except a couple long leg bones that were moved about 20 feet in a different direction. And the white croc was still on the stump, but it was broken in pieces, just lying there. So, anyway, when I went up there last time, I didn't think there was anything significant that happened while I was there. But the reason I did go there is out on the far end of this road, you get a chance to see one side of the hill that's coming into the ravine, and it's just amazing the structure that was up in there on that side. You can see it right from the car. The trees, for some reason, in that area seemed to as they grew, they split into 3 and 4 and 5 trunks, all coming out of the same place, out of the ground. And something had just stuffed the crotch of those trees with other limbs and stakes. And I mean, it was just ridiculous. It looked like a big asterisks all through the woods at the base of these trees. So that's what made me get a little bit of interest in the ravine. So we're not far from the ravine now in this ride. We're going to go down over this hill and turn left near the old Hartley shaft, and the ravine is out there on the right. But when I did that last video of this place, there was a fellow that saw it from Australia. And he told me, he said, "I'd just like to let you know that you was not alone in the woods that day." And he gave me a time stamp and referred me to check it out. And here he showed me there was something, a being, about 125 yards from me in dense cover that was watching me, and when I started to move to turn around, that it just weaved back over behind a tree. It just kind of easily, it didn't move its feet or nothing, but it just swayed back behind a tree. And what is funny is the tree wasn't big enough to hide it, but the thing, whatever it was smart enough to know it broke up the image so that you couldn't, wouldn't easily grab onto it with your eyes or your mind to think that there was something there, because half of it stuck out one side of the tree and half of it stuck out the other side. And the thing about it is, it was as if it was just a shadow. It was totally black. And you could see its shoulder sticking out one side of this tree and its other shoulder out the other side, and its head that you could see when you first looked up there was blocked completely by the tree. And so you wouldn't really notice that it was in the shape of a man, and it looked much taller than a man. And it's still in one of these videos that I put up here. And well, we're coming up on the area here now. Trying to see right where we're at. Yeah. Okay, so you've been patiently riding through the countryside with me now, and I used to ride up through here from Carmichael's, Pennsylvania on a bicycle when I was about 10 years old, and on the right hand side, look, see it? There is a watering trough right there. It says Cumberland Township on it, and it was always full of beautiful crystal clear water. We used to stop and get a drink out of it, but now it's just full of leaves. Okay, we're going to hang a left here. Turn up this road. You can't see it, but just about 200 feet up this road, there is a beaver dam down over to the left, just to the left of those trees up there. And Goldie Stewart's house used to be here on the right hand side, but it's not there any longer. And this is state game lands up here, the Smith Hollow. This road will end at a turnaround up there at the Smith Hollow, and if you come back this way out of the hollow, you can, at a Y in a road, continue further up this road as it veers to the right. But I got to watch how I usually have a four-wheel drive when I'm coming up through here, but I only have a Chrysler Town and Country front-wheel drive. It doesn't have all that much ground clearance, and we're going to go in, finally, we're going to go into the right here. But we're going to have to go up and turn around and come back down to get into there. And up there where that brown grass is on the right-hand side, we're going to have to park there somewhere. So I need to go up and turn around. And that's probably what you'll see on the next slide. Well, here is the Y off to the right. If you do go right that way, you could continue out through there to another main road. But this is a place where I'm going to turn around. And right off to the left there is a ditch always full of water that runs down through there. It's only about a foot and a half wide. And my brother and I took mink out of there before when we were trapping. And Pennsylvania game land, see that yellow sign up there? The first word on the top is one big word, welcome. They just, are opposite of all the posted signs, no trespassing. As soon as they buy this land, they open it up to the hunters. They buy it with the money that the hunters bought their hunting license with. They go out and buy all this land and they put up welcome signs. It's good to see. So here we're getting the van turned around now, and it's this hillside on the left that follows a road out through here that is full of all of that asterisk construction that I was referring to earlier. But it just starts right here on this corner and goes all the way out through there to where the ravine, it wraps around and becomes the west or the left-hand side of the ravine up through there. I don't think the GoPro shows any of the asterisks because it would have to have been turned some. But I'm planning on at this point parking on the left-hand side where that brown grass was, because I remember that there underneath the grass, I mean you can't see it or anything, but I'm familiar with the place. I know that the ground is solid enough in there that I can use that to get off of the road far enough so that another car can pass. So this is where Vivian and I park the van and get out, and we walk down to, well, there's a stream, a little run that goes through a culvert under the road right out there. And if you turn to the left side here, you'll be on the wrong side of the stream. So you got to walk across where that culvert is and enter in to the valley on the other side. And that's just what we're going to do here in just a minute or two. And then that stuff grows, you know, the grass and brush and stuff. Right over there, it gets altogether different. Unless it's changed. What was? What? Oh, really? See some walnuts lying here.
All kind of nuts back there. They were like broke open.
I saw some hickory nuts back there too. No kidding. You'll see the change in the woods in just a little ways. Watch, there's some holes in here. This looks a lot like that place, that little parking lot out where that beaver dam is on Smith Creek. I see you got to go from the road through this mess of stuff to get to the nice woods. I think I can see a log we can set down on for a while right there. You okay, honey? Hey, watch, there's a greenbrier here that'll try to trip you.
What?
Try to trip you. Greenbrier.
Okay. This is a dried up creek bed. Creek flows down through here when it rains. And right up on that rise right there in front of me is where them bones all laid around and that pointing at that thing up on that stump. And I went on and past it. I crossed over the head of the valley, got up in there where I had brush coming right up to me to make something, if there was something in here, I feel like it had cover. I got right in the middle of it. And that's where that guy saw that thing watching me. Yeah, it was up higher than me, looking down right in there. Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you want to watch that one there. I don't know. That one might, as long as it's strong enough, you know.
Sit on that one up there.
Well, you go find out. And I'm going to walk up and see if that's up there.
Okay.
And then come back down to you. And all of that stuff you saw up in the woods, tucked down in between crotch of trees, is right there to your left. All the way out along that bank, that road. I'll be back down. That gonna work? A couple years ago, well, maybe 4, I came up in here near a stump like this, and in an area like right here was a deer bones, bleached white, and they were pulled apart about 4 or 5 times as long as a deer ought to be, and just laid in a line of an arc over to a stump like that. Then the stump had something unusual on top of it. I can't remember what it was, but it seemed I don't see anything here. Totally gone, I guess. Of course, it was many storms ago, many days of wind and snow and rain. I believe it was about 4 years ago. And then up there, where you can see the wood gets a little thick understory and you can't see too good. I was in that, and I walked down to my left and stood down there, held the camera back on it for some time, and then went on out that way. And later Some fellow that was looking at the video on YouTube from Australia told me that something had been watching me, that I wasn't in here alone. And he jotted down the timestamp on where it occurred in the video, and I looked and I could see it too. It was up there, and there was something that looked bigger than a man, filled in the light in between the leaves, so it looked like a big giant shadow. And before I looked at it, it squared up on a tree and stepped right behind it with both shoulders sticking out, but it broke up the silhouette, and then I could see it step out and step back, and it did look like it looked like a shadow of a man, a big man. Now here I am back. Wait a minute. Maybe that wasn't the stump. I see a stump up ahead of me. It's got something white on it. I can't remember what the thing was on top, but I'm looking for the deer skeleton. I don't see it. Nope. It was arched like this to that stump, and the very last one, the bones on the end made an arrow point, and then on top of the stump was it was this white crock. Now it's broken. The crock is broken, but it was actually usable when I saw it last time, and I don't see any bones. Wait a minute. Maybe that is down there. I don't know what happened here in those 4 years. Yeah, that looks like the skull that was here. Oh, look at the mushrooms on that stump down there. Oh. So the shadow was up in there. And let me pick up this skull. Deer. A deer skull. Tossed it back up by the stump. Oh my. I think I'm gonna go up here and sit down for a minute, rest these old legs, set this GoPro up on a tripod and let it, oh, there's some more bones. Yeah, I don't know what those are though. Oh.